Hi-hat cymbals. Couple things to think about. Again, the size is very important. For a smaller jazz setting, you can get away with 13-inch hi-hats. And then for a general purpose, you probably want to go with a 14-inch hat. If you're playing in a high-powered rock group or a big loud volume setting, sometimes 15s work. There are some great drummers who used even larger than that. But I think a middle ground would be a nice 14-inch pair of hats. You want to make sure that they're not too heavy and clunky, but you can just experiment and see the sizes. The companies now are really getting very, very refined in terms of the hi-hat combinations that are offered. So make sure that your top cymbal is nice and thin and your bottom cymbal has a little more heft, more thickness to it. A couple things about the hi-hat and the hi-hat stand. You again want to make sure that the hi-hat stand is in good repair. We have to make sure that we have a nice felt washer down here, that we have a nice metal washer that keeps the cymbal seated. We also want to make sure that we don't crank the clutch down too tight. As I demonstrated with the other cymbals, if you choke that cymbal down, then you lose all sound. So make sure that the cymbal, this top cymbal, has some room to breathe. This happens all the time with younger players. They crank it down so it's just like that, but you lose all the sound. So you got to make sure that you have a working clutch. A lot of clutches, again, these things get lost, the felt washers, and these other washers in here that really can refine the tension of the clutch. So make sure that you have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 clutches handy, because they do get lost, they do get stripped, and pieces do go missing. So we got some nice room there for it to breathe, to resonate, so you can do some nice work on it for your jazz work or your Latin work. And then we want to make sure that our tilter screw on the bottom is, first of all, is there. A lot of the tilter screws just disappear. But provided you have one, make sure that it works and that it can actually tilt the cymbal. So if these cymbals are totally flat, sometimes you can create this vacuum and get this weird kind of choke sound. You may have experienced it at one point with a pair of crash cymbals. So if you're getting that sound, we're not really getting it now, but if I wanted to get more of a splashy sound, I can start raising that lower cymbal. So, to review, we got the felt on the bottom here, so it's seated properly, and the felt washer, the metal washer, the tilt screw, a clutch that works, don't clamp down too much on the cymbal, and have a few clutches in reserve. You know, the distance between your hi-hat cymbals is very important. So make sure that you set your clutch about an inch between the cymbals. Funny things can happen if the distance isn't right. This is about right. I'm getting a nice solid chick. I may have to adjust down here, but if I don't have it that wide and I bring it down to maybe a quarter of an inch or a half inch, I don't get the same power. And a lot of younger players, they don't think about the distance and they have it too close together. And you just can't get the chick sound. If I have it too high, well, that won't work. So, but I've seen it where they're like that, but then they gotta really, really work hard on getting that sound and controlling it, and it takes a lot more effort to bring it, 2 inches. Plus, sometimes the pedal is right on the verge of banging into the base of the stand. So again, experiment around, have it about between an inch and an inch and a half from the bottom cymbal, and just make sure that everything works with your ankle and your foot, and that it's a nice relaxed motion and it doesn't take that much energy to play the hi-hat.